Hey everybody, welcome to In the Red Zone. Sean Brown, Michael Johnson here with you, and it is time for week one of college football. It's time to get our picks in for that first week, time to get the season started, but hey, the season can't start for you until you subscribe to this channel. So go subscribe, like this video, and always leave a comment. You've got to get the season started off right. We're at 8,000 subs. We've got to get it up there to 10 by the end of the year. Yep. So are you ready?
I'm ready. It's been, we're going into our sixth season. Started this, roughly 5 years ago. So I couldn't thank you guys enough. If anybody's been there, since the first season, that just seems like it's flown by. But we're slowly growing, and hopefully, like you said, we can get up to 10. Hopefully 10,000.
Yep.
But over 1 million total views, and we're happy for it. So
got our first.
Yeah, we got our first donation.
Chris Clardy, shout out to you. Thank you very much. $50 donation on our first video of the year. So we do appreciate that.
Yeah, we've never gotten a donation, and it was just random. Mike texted me, and so that was awesome. We're not begging for y'all's money. So
but if you take our picks and win, you can leave us a tip. We'll take a tip. Absolutely. Yeah, that little button, that little heart with the symbol, it's down there underneath the video. So go check that out. A lot has changed in college football in the last 6 years. More has changed this year.
Yeah.
We've already done some videos kind of talking about a lot of that. But I think a lot of people are here for the picks. I don't think they're here to listen to all that today. There's only really good one I consider really good game, unless you're a fan of these other teams. Obviously it's a big game for you as well. But there's one good one on here that I'm really interested in. But hey, it's the first year. I'm going to be watching as many of them as I can.
And it may have conference implications.
Yep.
You just with the way Nebraska. Just narrowly lost some games last year, maybe with an upgrade at quarterback. We'll see what they can do, but we'll get into that when we get into that game.
All right, let's get into the picks. Let's start it out. 11 games here the first week, August 27th on a Saturday. It's going to be a great day. Most of these games are all on the regional networks like CBS Sports Network and all that. The one exception is Nebraska Northwestern will be on Fox. I think it's at 11:30, but they're playing that game in Dublin, Ireland. So even though it's kicks off the day here for us, that game is actually a primetime game for them as far as when they're playing it overseas. So let's go ahead and just start with that game because it is the game that everybody is talking about. So let's just kick it off with the biggest game of that week. Nebraska against Northwestern. Northwestern technically the home team, even though this is played overseas. Nebraska, a 13-point favorite. This kicks off 12:30 Eastern Time on Fox. You mentioned it. Last year, Nebraska, right there, their record was not that great, but there were just a few points in every game from flip-flopping that record. Big change. Martinez is going at quarterback. Casey Thompson now in at quarterback, transferring from Texas. Mm-hmm. Looks to be a whole different Nebraska team. What I've been able to see online, the intensity they've been having in practice and things, it just looks like a whole different mentality up there. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, as far as mentality goes, last year we said Nebraska's going to have to come out and they're going to have to play really strong that year because Scott Frost was already kind of on the hot seat. Mm-hmm. But then his team does start to pushes things down to the wire with Oklahoma, and then there were several games. I think almost half their games was decided by 3 or 7 points. So they strengthen a couple of positions there, and especially at quarterback. I mean, I think Casey Thompson is an upgrade over Adrian Martinez, who ended up transferring to Kansas State. I think Casey Thompson, he should have been starting for the Longhorns 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just they never could quite find his window of talent, and I think he looked better even battling with Sam Ehlinger, when he comes in against Oklahoma. I mean, he starts firing passes, and I just think, I don't know. I think he's got more athleticism, definitely an upgrade there. So we'll see if they can continue, better performance, turn some of those narrow losses into some wins this next year.
Who do you like in this one?
I like Nebraska. I definitely do. I think they'll come out swinging, but I wonder with Oklahoma coming up in week 3, how much you can really spend the summer getting ready for Northwestern.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't be too difficult. I mean, the line there was,
13.
13.
Yeah.
But I'll take them to win by at least 2 touchdowns.
I'm going to go opposite of you on this one. I'm taking Northwestern and the points in this, and this is why. Northwestern is the team that they're every other year they're good, and even when they're not supposed to be good.
Yeah.
They were off last year. Nobody's looking at them. Nobody's considering them as a threat in the West, which makes them dangerous in my opinion. Then you add in the fact that you've had a lot of hype about Nebraska. A lot of Nebraska fans are looking forward to the OU game. But on top of that, you're flying overseas. There's the travel. I know Northwestern has to do it too, but it affects your body, and it's tough. And especially when you play a primetime game over there, it's just everything's different. You're not used to it. And I think both teams are not going to have focus. And I think that Nebraska, even though it's a change of culture and a change of scenery, and you have Casey Thompson, I feel like they're going to need a game or two to hit their stride.
Yeah.
I think they're going to struggle early in the year. I'm not saying that Northwestern is going to win this game, although I feel like there might be an upset here. But I definitely don't think that Nebraska could cover 13 against Northwestern. I think Northwestern's good enough. I think they're going to be that team that the people in the Big Ten West are going to struggle with this year because everybody's is looking past them. And so I think they're the dangerous team. They're the ones who can sneak up and bite you if you're not looking. And so give me Northwestern to cover the points.
Okay.
All right, next game we're looking at Austin, Peay versus Western Kentucky. Noon kickoff Eastern time on CBS Sports Network. This one's an interesting one. Both these teams lost their quarterbacks. Both teams are rebuilding at wide receiver, running back, things like that. So both offenses not going to look like what their fans have been used to in the past. However, Austin, Peay returns a defense that was second in the FCS last year in interceptions with 19 interceptions. They're really solid on defense, probably will continue to be solid. Right now, we have no line on this. However, the ESPN predictor gives Western Kentucky like a 95% chance at victory. Going over the notes and averaging things out, I'm going to set the line just for our picks at 18 in favor of Western Kentucky. So Western Kentucky an 18-point favorite as far as the line we are setting and what we are picking on. What do you think?
I don't know too much about these two teams other than Austin Peay's defense looks to be pretty good. So I'll probably go. I'll probably go with what sticks out to me, and that's a better defense for Austin Peay. And if the line is 18, I would take Austin Peay to stay within that,
okay.
Especially breaking in new positions, especially offense.
Yep.
That'd be pretty tough first game.
And for Western Kentucky, they had that West Virginia quarterback transfer,
Jarrett Dagey.
Dagey transfer, and then he transferred out in the transfer portal and isn't even going to be their quarterback. So they've got that going on as well.
Yeah.
I know in the past couple of years we've been used to seeing highlights of Western Kentucky just airing it out and scoring at will, and I just don't think they're going to be that way this year. I am with you. I think Austin Peay at least covers that 18, even if they don't win. So I got to take Austin Peay into points.
Yeah,
so.
Same here. I think it'll be a closer game, maybe within like 12, 14 points. But we'll just see where the line opens, here probably within the next week or so.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, next one. Idaho State against UNLV. This game, 3:30 Eastern time on CBS Sports Network. Idaho State coming off a 1-10 season, a new head coach. Basically, off a 1-10 season, they're just starting over again.
Yeah.
UNLV was not very impressive last year. However, they do have pieces at least returning. Mm-hmm. They have something to build off of and something to move forward on. This is another one where no line has been set, but the ESPN predictor says UNLV a 93% chance of winning based on last year and what pieces they have this year. We're kind of guessing too, but we're going to set the line just so we can make the pick.
Yeah.
And we are putting UNLV as a 24-point favorite in this game. And I like UNLV to cover that 24. It might be 26, 28, but I like them to cover 24 because I just think they just have more talent and more pieces, and Idaho State is literally starting at the bottom.
Yeah, last year UNLV lost its FCS matchup against Eastern Washington. Idaho State is not Eastern Washington, or at least this year comparative to last year. But UNLV will be that much better than Idaho State, so I will take UNLV.
Okay. Next matchup, UConn versus Utah State. This one, to me, Utah State I consider one of the cream of the crop of the Group of Five conferences, up there with Boise State and a few others. They're really good every year. They won 4 of their last 5 to finish last year. I know it's a whole different team and everything. The only game they dropped in that last 5 last year was to Wyoming. They beat Oregon State. They beat a ranked team. So Utah State's up there. UConn has struggled for years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to the point where at one point they wondered if they were going to keep their football team.
Yeah.
So I know they have a new coach who hit the transfer portal and all that kind of stuff. But look, Utah State is a 27.5 point favorite, and I like them to easily cover that. I just think that they're going to air it out. They're probably just going to dominate UConn in this one.
Yeah, UConn, they're going to get better having Jim Mora as their coach. Very seasoned. He comes from the NFL. He was also UCLA's head coach for a while, and so he understands, both what it takes to make, NFL players. He also knows what it takes to run a college football program. So they will get better, but it's going to take a while for that team to start getting better.
Yep.
I think that, Utah State could score almost 50 points, maybe even 50 points. And UConn will struggle to put points on the board. So I see this easily in Utah State's favor.
Okay. All right, next one. Wyoming travels to Illinois to take on the Illini. This is, Wyoming has lost a lot. They got beat up by the transfer portal. Illinois had one of the worst offenses in football last year. They have a new quarterback, Tommy DeVito, a transfer from Syracuse. We've talked about him a little bit in the past. He had moments that he shined in Syracuse. But Illinois also, remember they got the Peters boy from Michigan who came in. I thought was going to do something. He struggled. Right here, Illinois is a 10-point favorite. No idea if their offense is going to be anything better than it was last year, where they were dead last in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Wyoming has lost talent on offense, but they're still pretty decent on defense. What do you think?
Man, Wyoming has lost a ton in the transfer portal. So not only have they just lost players, they've lost guys that, coaches might not have been recruiting for their position. It's one thing when a guy is going to be a senior or a guy is likely going to head to the NFL, but when you have guys that enter the transfer portal, a lot of times you don't have a whole lot of time. Depending on when they put their name in, you might not have had the time to replace those positions. So
and it's a lot tougher for a team like Wyoming to hit the transfer portal and pull somebody in to replace them than it is like Alabama or LSU or something.
So Wyoming lost Isaiah Nair to Texas. They lost Zazavian Valladay to Arizona State. They've lost their top quarterback options and a bunch of key defensive backs. So I just don't know that you replace that so quickly. And yes, the transfer portal works both ways. Players coming out, players coming in. But I just don't know that that you can replace that much in that short amount of time and be ready for, essentially your first Power 5 meetup since 2019, since they beat Missouri. This is not the same Wyoming team, and that Missouri team was actually pretty down.
Yeah. Do you like Illinois?
I do like Illinois, especially it being at Illinois.
Yeah.
I think this will be a tough one for Wyoming to open up the season.
I think that this one is not going to be an offensive show. I think this turns into a defensive battle. I think it's a low-scoring game, and because of that, I kind of like Wyoming just to squeak. I like Wyoming to cover the points. I don't like them to win the game, but I like them to keep it within 10, so I'm going to take Wyoming and the points.
I just think Illinois, they've had a good, decent running game in the past, and so I think they just keep hammering with the run. By the end of the game, it may, score may open up. It might be pretty close throughout the third quarter, but then maybe opens up kind of at the end of the game.
That could happen, absolutely. Okay. Let's move to the next one. All right, Duquesne, Florida State. That's the next one up. Duquesne actually has some players. They got some people from the transfer portal. They were pretty decent last year. but so is Florida State. Florida State with an offensive line that should be able be the best they've had in years, really, and they should be able to run the ball pretty easily. What do you think about this matchup?
Does the fact that Florida State plays LSU the next week play a factor into this?
I personally don't think it does because it's the first game of the season. Teams have been out there with those little padded helmets not being allowed to hit, and they're ready to get there and just knock somebody out. And I just think if this were fourth, fifth game of the year, I would agree with you. I would think that some guys looking to rest, maybe ready for LSU. But when it's the first game of the year, you're jacked up and ready to go. It doesn't matter who you're playing.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it has a factor in this game. I think both teams are going to be coming out ready to play, but that doesn't necessarily mean that both teams aren't making mistakes because it is the first game.
Yeah.
I would have to say, while you're thinking, there is no spread set officially on this. Based on the matchup, based on what we know and kind of what they have come back. Again, this is one where we're going to set an opening line for ourselves, and we're going to set it at Florida State, a 31-point favorite over Duquesne.
Yeah, man, if that's it, I don't know. I'm not saying Duquesne wins this game or anything, but I think maybe they play it kind of close up until maybe the second half hits, and then Florida State.
Florida State should be able to take over in the fourth quarter just by the fact of being a Power 5 school, and they have more depth than Duquesne.
But Duquesne got some good players transferred in. This will have to be a game that FSU, comes and plays and doesn't let things get out of hand. Like they have in the past, but I'm gonna say at 31 I would take Duquesne just to play kind of.
I'm going to agree with you there because I think that spread's a little high, even though based on the numbers that's kind of what it should be. We'll see. Maybe I'm way off when the line actually comes out. We'll see what it is. I mean, I'm a little shocked that the lines aren't already out by now. I mean, these matchups have been known for a year. Everybody's seen spring practice. Everybody knows what they have in the fall. I don't know why there's no lines out, so we're just doing the best we can.
Yeah.
Florida State should win by 31 points based on the matchup, based on how much better they're on the offensive line. But I'm with you. I think at the end of the day, Duquesne plays better ball than they should, and I think they do keep it under 31. So I do have to take Duquesne in the points.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, Charlotte heads down to Florida Atlantic. Last year, Florida Atlantic just railed Charlotte at Charlotte's home field. This year might be a different story here. Florida Atlantic is a 7.5-point favorite. Charlotte returns 8 starters, including their quarterback. Florida Atlantic gets a lot of guys back, plus some add-ons from the transfer portal. More importantly, I think Florida Atlantic's offensive line is looking better. I don't know. I think a question mark here is going to be Charlotte's defense. What do you think?
I think defense wins this game. I think Florida Atlantic has the better defense. I think they win by at least 9-10 points. So I'm going to take FAU in this.
Yeah, I think as well. Charlotte may be an improved team. Are they improved 31 points better, which is what the beatdown was last year? I don't think so. I think you're right. I think Florida Atlantic wins. I'm looking at a 12 to 14 point win over Charlotte. Yeah. It's a home game for Florida Atlantic. So I have them winning this one.
Yeah, Florida Atlantic returns 4 offensive linemen, and that's huge. I mean, to get experience back like that in starters, and then with some pretty key pieces that came through the transfer portal on defense, I like FAU.
Yep. Okay. Florida A&M travels to North Carolina for this matchup. Shaun, you've looked into this game. Tell me, what notes do you have on this one?
So, North Carolina's defense was horrible last year, but I think they may have fixed some of those issues. They went to the transfer portal to get help in their defensive line, which was a big issue last year. Florida A&M does return Xavier Smith along with most of their receiving core, but I don't think it's enough. There will be a lot of offense on probably both ways, but I don't know that Florida A&M really scores all that much. They might move the ball down the field, but I don't see them scoring, especially with North Carolina kind of fixing some of the issues they had at defensive end in particular. But I do think that at some point North Carolina will be able to run at will, and so that'll just kind of open up a balanced attack from throwing the ball and running. So I think North Carolina takes it and takes it big.
This is one where, again, we don't have a line at this moment right now while we're shooting this. So based on this matchup, we have come up with a line of North Carolina a 35-point favorite. You think they can cover that?
I think so.
Okay, I'm with you. I think North Carolina, you're talking about a Power 5 program. Mac Brown down there, like, it doesn't really matter at this point. They're going to play great defense. I think they're going to shut down Florida A&M. I think North Carolina can roll by 40 or more, so I think 35 should be a pretty smooth cover for North Carolina.
North Carolina's got Grimes, Tony Grimes, I believe is his first name. He was a 5-star kid, defensive back. I don't know of any injuries. I do believe I believe he's set to play, and he'll be a good piece. You know, this is, I think, his second year. I could be wrong.
Okay.
It seems like he came in not too long ago, so he'll be there to shut down some of the passing attack. And I got to give this to North Carolina.
All right, next one, North Texas heads down to UTEP, Texas El Paso, to take on the Miners. No listing as to which network this one's on yet. It is a primetime 9 p.m. game. This one last year ended 20-17. North Texas got the better of UTEP, and it's expected to be another close one this year. The Miners are primarily going to run the ball. That's kind of what they do. If North Texas can shut that down, then and force UTEP to throw the ball, that is the one weakness that North Texas has right now is their secondary. But they have a lot returning. They have the best linebacking core they've had in a while. And so, this one is even. It's a pick 'em. It's pick who you want to win. I just think North Texas has the edge when you look at who they have coming back. And really, UTEP is going to have to throw the ball to really exploit North Texas, and I don't think they can do it. That's not what they're built to do. Their quarterback can throw the ball when he needs to, but if that's your primary offense to be able to win this game, I don't think UTEP can pull it off. So I think North Texas wins the game.
Yeah, I'm going to take North Texas. UTEP has Oklahoma coming up in their second game. So that's a tough one to have to turn around and go. I know I've less and less I've put the onus on trap games. I know it does happen. It does have some effects in that next game you might be thinking about, but I mean these are two fairly evenly matched teams.
Right.
And like you said earlier in a video, I mean, it's week one. You have all summer. You could work 1 week on this game, 1 week on another. And now North Texas was held to under 4 yards per carry by UTEP last year, but they still won the game. And I think North Texas takes it again this year.
I agree. All right, next one, Nevada heads to New Mexico State. Nevada, a 9-point favorite in this one. They get a kind of a big offseason acquisition through the transfer portal. You got the notes on this game. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, or former Oklahoma State quarterback Shane Illingworth, who I thought was a pretty good – I mean, he was a well-sought-after quarterback prospect coming out of high school. Didn't really live up to that, but he was supposed to be the next big thing. And so he transfers to Nevada, trying to battle it out for who's going to replace Carson Strong there. They have another quarterback, Nate Cox, who's been around long enough to at least know the system, know what's going on, and maybe even win that job. I think he probably will be the week one starter at quarterback. But if Illingworth does, some of the similar things that he did at Oklahoma State, because he did have quite a few games that he came in and was the starter, then he should be right on the heels of Cox there. New Mexico State's pretty much overhauling. They're starting with a brand new head coach. They've had a huge overhaul. I believe Nevada got a ton of transfers through the transfer portal. So I do see, I'm going to go with Nevada on this one. I think that they're just over and above, they're the best team or better team of the two. So, and New Mexico State's just, I mean, they're starting from scratch pretty much. So taking Nevada in this one.
I'll take Nevada to cover as well. I just think they have more pieces. And like
Yeah.
you said, New Mexico State starting over, and I just think Nevada's way ahead at this point. And
Yeah.
so, and with, you're right, so if Cox struggles, Illingsworth comes in, we know what he can do. He
Right.
filled in at Oklahoma State and did really well. And, and they went to the Big 12 championship game last year. So, he's more than capable at quarterback. So I'm with you. I like Nevada.
Yep.
All right, last game on the schedule. Vanderbilt travels way out west to Hawaii. Kind of a vacation, really, for Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
To take on the Rainbow Warriors. I think that's what they're called. Hawaii just been
They're
gutted.
just Warriors now.
They're Warriors? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they have been gutted. They are starting over. They have a brand new head coach, a former Hawaii quarterback. He'll make them competitive again in the Mountain West. But let's talk about this Hawaii team. Yes, they have quarterbacks. Yes, they have wide receivers. They've always got skill talent. What they don't have is they don't have an offensive line. And number two, what they don't have is a defense. They were worst in the Mountain West last year. And you've got an SEC team. Yes, I know it's Vanderbilt, but it's still an SEC team.
Yeah.
They're solid all the way around. What Hawaii's going to have to do offensively, they're not going to have time to chuck the ball down the field. They're going to be those quick little wide receiver screens, little dinks and dunks, quick slants to try to expose a hole in the Vanderbilt defense. But at the end of the day, you're talking about SEC players going out and playing a Hawaii team starting from scratch.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's competitive. I mean, here you have Vanderbilt is only a 6.5-point favorite. I mean, that's shocking to me.
Yeah.
I think it should be way higher than that. So I will say this though. Yes, I'm picking Vanderbilt to cover the 6.5. Vanderbilt, if you don't go out there and play ball, you guys are going to be front and center of SEC shorts come Monday morning.
Yeah.
And for all of you Vanderbilt fans, 10:30 Eastern time kickoff.
That's going to be rough.
The churches in Nashville are going to be pretty empty on Sunday morning. I mean, if you're staying up to watch that game, although if Hawaii's got the lead at halftime, a lot of TVs are probably getting turned off in the Nashville area.
Yeah, I don't think that happens. I'm going to give it to Vanderbilt here.
You think Vanderbilt covers? Okay. Hey, guys, that's it. 11 games. That's the first week for college football. That's our picks. Hey, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. Hit the like button and always leave your comment. Love to hear what you guys have to say. We had to set several spreads here because we haven't got the spreads.
Yeah.
So we'll see when the lines do come out if we were accurate or not. But, hey, we're doing it for fun anyway.
Yeah.
It's the first couple weeks. We've told you guys for the first 2 to 3 weeks, you shouldn't be betting anything. You got to see who's got what. You got to see how the transfer portal's playing out here.
Yeah.
How NIL affects everything. After about the third week, you should get a good idea of your team. You should be able to put down some decent bets and make some money. But right now, it's all about, it's just the unknown right now.
Yeah.
So, anything else to add at the end?
I'm good. Just remember, we're not professionals. Obviously, we do this for fun, and we're just college football fans, and no computers here, just using our own noggins.
That's right. Yep. Okay, hey, that's it for Week 1 picks. We are really looking forward to Week 2 because there's some huge matchups coming in Week 2, including Ohio State Notre Dame. Huge matchup to kick off their season. So you're going to want to tune in for that. And every Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, that's when we drop our predictions. So, hey, thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoy this season. Good luck on your bets, and have a great night.